Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake, Chats 2017. And I have a few things to say that have to do with the eclipse and the times that we're in. And so for those following along, I find this so helpful. And what's going on with me, I appreciate is I'm really like a tuning fork to what's going on celestially and energetically. And so for those who are tuning in, man, you're getting, you always have been, like front row seats to an ascension. So I hope you've been enjoying. I've only known that dimly. And so that's something I want to talk about today, because I'm sitting here and I want to just like crow about all these understandings I have. And then I really think about it and go, yeah, the problem is that there's a one singer who, India Arie, who said, I don't have a religion, I just consult my higher power, or my God. I consult my inner, my higher self. And I saw that in writing, I don't know when, a while ago. Thought, well, that's pretty cheeky. I sure like that. So there have been people who've been doing this a really super long time, okay? And so I'm nothing new coming here and saying, hey, my head's clearing. What is different about me is that, well, if you take a look at the eclipses that occurred in February, I've been documenting consciousness and thinking and behavioral and physical changes since 2012. And there are plenty of tapes that review the process, and I won't get into it here. But that's when things really got going. In March of 2012 was when I wrote my first true essay. Before that, it was just sort of dinking around. And it was just really soon after that I committed to Deeply Awake as my brand, or my title, or my descriptor. It's actually just a descriptor. And began writing and getting people reading, because they were going through similar things, or they identified with what I was expressing. And now some time has passed, 5 years of it, and I know that I'm at the end of this. It's a process that was begun before my birth. I was visited by someone who told me that I was going to be doing this, and then I was given the words that that this is ascension, and of course this is just me. This is just me. And so I worked diligently with with the teachers, the people who trained me in ascension, DNA activation, all that stuff, but so much more about relationships and daily life, and that it doesn't really matter unless you're, able to like translate it and live it and benefit from it. So what's that going to look like, and how do you want to, And then I went through a period of just sort of being in the deep freeze and living very traditionally and conventionally, and just trying to make my way, and basically wasting time, to be quite honest with you. But then my son came along, which means that many events occurred to get me there, because that was highly unlikely. And now here we are, just less than 2 weeks away from the eclipse. It's quite the thing, because once things started to get really bright and shiny, there were lots and lots of visions, a lot more than before. But this is why I mention all of this. I had a period of having this stuff sort of fed me, and I would encounter teachers, and it was all pretty magical. But then the teachers went away, they ascended, and in 1994, and I somehow knew I wasn't to do this with a teacher anymore. That was the point. I do this on my own now. And so I have one person who I consult. And I'm very, very grateful for Norma. And I've seen a couple of channelers here and there, and I've read and then allowed to take a more of a guru position with Kryon. So there have been teachers, but not until 12. Not until 12. Those things were off limits. And so that was an agreement, I think, that I made, actually, 22 years of that. And a little less than that, but you know, it's beautiful, just pristine numbers, because in 16 things really came to fruition for me. I became aware and comfortable with a lot more that really had been obvious to everyone around me when they just really looked. But there was really no language, even through this time. And that's one of the reasons I've been toiling, because for what I am experiencing as a human being, as an RN, as a mother, as a pet owner, as a daughter, a sister, a lover, a friend, an ex-wife, all of these things were reviewed, and very deeply. It was a time to go through everything, to go through the house. And I have talked about it, that the house was dark and then got lit up, and you had to go through everything, do an inventory kind of. And I realized I myself had been the ones to tape down the light switch so good, and that this was just all part of the plan. But it was very hard to have any kind of full understanding of it enough to just say, blah, in 7 minutes, here's my life, blah, in a way that explains what's going on spiritually now. I guess I say all of this because I need to make sure there's legitimacy for this next part. There had to be documentation. It had to be meticulous. I had to repeat myself. And that repetition occurred from 2012 until today. Partly because I had issues with my memory, partly because I was in the final states of review, and I think partly because I needed to make sure that what saturated this work was awakening and the process. And so I've oftentimes looked at it sort of uncomfortably, because to me, in a way, it symbolizes the effect of my not understanding a ding-dang thing. And the pain that caused me, and the pain, just the pain. And so all I knew through all of this is it had to be done. I mean, I'm not at peace. I'm not happy. Something's wrong inside of me. It just isn't right. And I have to keep going forward. I have to know peace. I have to understand this. And that's pretty what was behind the devotion and the drive, which, you know, take a look at it. I realize today very simple things. And they're kind of cheeky to say. Because there are those who've known me in very, very compromising and compromised situations. And so for me to say what I'm going to say, well, that I'm obviously a dangerous hypocrite. Dangerous because I'm using spirituality as my method of denial. You like that one? It's pretty good. So, the way I'm thinking is that it was like one of those when I stumble upon a theory and it makes sense, and it not only makes sense, but then I feed other things into it and everything makes sense. Do you know of those? where really the only explanation is this one thing you just stumbled upon, and every time you encounter it, even with this old stuff, even with new stuff, it just makes everything clearer, better, easier to understand and to not get hung up about. And I think that's what people are going to be experiencing a lot. And there may actually be a term that's coined. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun. But what I'm getting at is that I realized the obvious, basically, after having been reminded of the great gift I've been given. See, I was given this gift of being able to just feel a person's Akash all the way. And, I mean, in a split second. And then I just moved to the next one, moved to the next one, moved to the next one. And I understood you don't get that kind of information without the capacity, the responsibility, the inability to hurt someone with it. If there's any willingness to hurt someone with their weaknesses, you don't get access. It's pretty simple. Otherwise it would be weaponized. That's a lower agreement field. And so I understood that any kind of gift of increased information about other human beings would have to be met with certain gifts. The first and foremost being compassion, and that's the purpose for the information, to deepen compassion. Well, that's happened. But what do you do with that? So on the way to this thing today, I was thinking about this experience I had of putting even myself into this awareness where I could see, feel, know, understand a central issue, a central need, a central thing that they are searching for. It may be something that they just love and need to have more, but it is going to change them, transform them, move them. It's their kind of their, I hate to call it a song because the soul has its own song, you know, but it's like what makes a life, not what's done, but the hidden, unspoken things from which decisions come and lives are lived and thought about and felt about. And I realized when I put myself in that space, and I realized I could do it while I was driving, which is really nice, and I don't really have to just do it with some, I thought it was just with somebody who I know really well. No, that's not it. But immediately what I'm doing is I put them in my awareness, and I'm just overcome with a knowing. It's like a flavor, and then the words come. And mine was, I was looking for permission. Gee, you think? That's got a lot to do with, let's see, identity, free will, power, abuse of power, permission, agreement fields, consent. All flow back to that one little word. And I would be hard pressed to refute that those were not major issues for me. Permission. Permission. Big deal. And that was really quite the key word when I first encountered it in the 80s. So it was really neat, because I have not given myself permission, you see. I've been seeking permission, not knowing when, how, all that. So I saw how effective that was. And I thought, okay, well, then, what's the resolution of that koan? Of a life that is sort of, as is its flavor, wanting to discover all about permission. Well, for me, what I realize when I'm thinking of myself as if I were healing, okay? So I feel this deficit or this deficiency, and I want permission. I need permission. And there's physical sensations with it and everything. It's so cool! But then what happens? Well, that's great. I mean, that's where I was in that singing circle when I read Akasha's. Oh, well, that's super great. Now what do I do? You know? Oh, yes, the permission storylines, aren't they beautiful? But now what do I do? The idea, when I'm with someone when I'm with that person, it's not someone but that, you can use the techniques, but it's personalized, baby. Well, it made me realize a person who is seeking permission, that's someone who does not have inner authority. That's someone who doesn't feel safe. That's someone who, there's going to be power gradients and things like that. Right and wrong, left and right. Oh. So we got to working on that. What does if permission was granted, by whom would it be given? And to whom is it being given? Because really, I realized while driving, I didn't know if it was okay to do this. I never knew if it was okay to be me. I was always afraid I was crazy. I was always afraid. And I always knew I was on the outside. And I always knew I liked it there best because that's where I belonged. And so I realized it just so profoundly and happily that and it's so hard for me to say the words. But my issues have not been about relationship as much as they've been about God. And I've always loved God so much, and it's always been the most important thing to me. Except when I'm in love, then I see God in that person's eyes, and so I'm having my discussion with God with them. And that's why it is so hard for me to, I think, effectively connect on an intimate level, because there are moments when people can be there, and being in love and feeling love, it makes you feel God. It's when the karma takes over. It's when the darkness comes and swallows everything up. And I was in darkness for a really long time, so as I'm driving along, I'm seeing this split. I'm realizing I'm a godly person. I've always known I'm a holy one. I've always known that. And I'll tell you what, it's weird. People defer to me as if I am. Even when I'm acting wicked. And people get very mad at me when I misbehave. I'll tell you that too. Like I've disappointed them somehow. Like I'm not allowed to misbehave or have a mistake. But they get mad at me when I make a mistake. I think they expect that of me all the time. And I realize now, well, maybe that's not the most crazy expectation. But in the midst of my confusion, it was unrealistic to expect it. Although flattering, I guess. And now, I've always known I'm a holy one. And now I can accept that about myself. I give myself permission. And for me, that's not a little thing. Obviously, due to the tears. You can look on some websites where people are really cool about copping to a lot of things. Just for me. Because I've misbehaved a lot. And I've done wrong a lot. So, what I realized was that obviously in life there's karma, and there's there are agreements and requests, and there's stories that we're helping each other out with. And I always knew this was going to just burn off. I wasn't going to be too fascinated anymore. It's just boring. All of it. All of it. All of it. But while it still held focus, I wrote and then I videotaped. And I moved through it. So, you know, I can tell you that I have been and will be quite wealthy. And today I petitioned for food stamps, and I was at the Medicaid place, and I got Medicaid. Oh, I can see a doctor. And I'm cool with that. I think my circumstances are what the system was made to address. It's awesome. And that system is made to make you feel as if you deserve to be punished by it, because then it goes ahead and punishes you. And it punishes just with no respect, and it's because they've had to deal with people who have major mental illness and can't manage themselves and have nowhere to go, and so they petition these places. And so these professionals deal with mentally ill people and very disadvantaged people intellectually, and then people like me and lots of different people. And so I had explained, well, this is another thing that is on time and appropriate. And they said, aren't you happy, Kathy, that you're going in there and lighting that building up? And you're injecting, they told me, the whole thing with a different flavor that they haven't encountered before. And then they showed me that there are a lot of ghosts in the machine, and there'll be more. Because, you know, most people in this country are, what age, guys? Well, that would be 56. And some of us, in the first wave, you do understand that 60, 61, 62, that's the first wave. There's a huge number of star children in that band, is all I'm saying. I didn't come in alone. And they're in Middle America. They're all over. And we skipped wars. We were born to parents who did not fight wars. Couldn't. They had been too young. And we skipped the draft. Out of all of my friends in this entire lifetime, I've only had 2, and they were a degree removed from me, who actively sought war. That's a generation. That's a considerable amount of people, I can assure you. And we had kids. So I'm letting a cat out of the bag here, really, because I want you to just keep watching and then ask yourself, what would have had to have been in that band to support that? Because I'm not the only one. And there are going to be some changes. You're going to see it. So I gave you the history because I think it's important. And maybe I'll stop doing that once I feel like I'm legitimate. But I feel like doing it, so I did it. And I am convinced at this point, every single word, deed, thought is not only purposeful, but divine. This is a profoundly divine time. Again and again, I'll go to the eclipse and they'll say that's just the afterthought. That's just the final. You need to be every single moment. This is the moment. This is the moment. This now. So, as I've said, this isn't an ad for Kathy Vick, okay? All I'm saying, I'm reporting what's happened to me, and that you can then maybe get excited about checking your own chart or doing that kind of thing, because what happened in February is that there were 2 eclipses, and they got my attention. It's like, well, that's kind of, I'm called to these things, and they seem powerful. And then I found out that the north node of the moon was in my ascendant. Kaipacha mentioned it and said, hey, for you guys who have this, you better pay attention. It's the game changer. You don't get many chances like this. I mean, of all the degrees that in all of the and that was the one. And so it's pretty obvious that was something that would be appropriate to consider significant. In that was in Virgo, and the moon was in Pisces, and that's my sun sign. And I feel very strongly that this is the end of the age of Aquarius, but I happen to think there were some good things about Aquarius. I mean, Pisces. It's the end of Pisces into Aquarius. And I sense a denigration of that's the fish. I will say, I do believe, and I hope, profoundly, truly, very sweetly hope, that after all this is done, there will be some sort of agreement. Hopefully it'll come from the Pope, that the crosses are going to be replaced with fishes. I really hope that comes to pass. I really don't keep looking at those things. Not because it scares me or saddens me or brings me down, but it demonstrates to me, it's in my face, that I'm not from around here. And it used to bug me. I reported it. I started feeling it really intensely last year around this time, but being angry about it. Like, don't impinge on my consciousness, you creeps. I don't want you doing this. I don't want to look at your billboards. I don't want to see the ads. I don't want to have to always think about money. I don't want to. And I got mad about it and kind of like feeling, it was just sort of rapo. It really is. An advertisement, that is so rapo. It's just like, what? I mean, if you just put up gas station, that'd be awesome. Even if it's a Shell, that's fine. That's kind of cute. But, the thing is that when you get into billboards, what do you feel? They're not looking for how you think or what you need. They're looking for how you have just been made to feel. And nobody's paying attention to that. In a split second, you look at that and move on. But there are some really bad illogical syllogisms that are part of the advertising culture, and it's like we just accept that. That's really something that's going to change. It's going to be nice too, because it's very assaultive. And so anyway, I don't know why I ranted about that like I do sometimes, but I saw a softening through the day, because during the morning time I was like, kind of, and then midway through I realized the truth of it, that I was really surrounded by love, and everything really was going my way, even though it seemed not to be. And I was able to just state kindness and just really honestly say thank you, and not really focus on the things that I have to carry on doing myself and all that stuff. It's like the indirect complaining was so obvious that by the afternoon I decided it was so repugnant and just uncomfortable I wasn't going to do it. So I didn't, and I had a really nice afternoon. I didn't even listen, because I realized, it really is okay to be this. I had a chance to do it among strangers. And I don't want to be off-putting. But I'm different from the people in that room. All of them. I'm always different. And there's something about me. That's all I can say. There's something about me. And now I know that that's my responsibility. And I've always worked the room, always. But now I'm not pissed about it, basically, because I know what I'm doing. And so I use my technique. Because the bottom line with the permission thing is, oh, well, that's all about free will. That's all about higher self, lower self. Duh. That's about personality self and God self. And that's really what I came to, was that, I have had lots of personality selves. Duh. Can you think? Can you imagine? And whether I've had one or a million, I think I know this living thing pretty good. Pretty good. Come on. And so this is just me waking up into consciousness and looking at the person who had the issue of permission from the side of the one who is in a really good position, is the only one who is positioned to say, well, yeah, well, you never really needed permission, but sure, it's granted. And it just, so I can walk around being a little monk. What's wrong with that? So I was really productive, and I was real happy. I wasn't very nice to some people. No, I wasn't. I'm off-put by some of the things I feel, and then I create a disturbance because I don't like those people. And I don't like it when people talk and it feels like an assault. And they think they're being nice. It's like, ew. Wow. That brings up a thing that happened last night. So last night I was having all these visions while I was sleeping. So I'd wake up and I was like right in the middle of programming, so I went back to sleep. And then in the middle of the night, crazy ass thing, I wake up and I just moved my foot and it bloomed into such pain right on my big toe, and it was a cat. It was like a cat claw. Wow. And they said, here, we came to you now, because they had shown me a dream, and they said, now this is the contrast, and here's the truth of it. That shouldn't have hurt you. But you understand pain different, and other things that people don't expect are going to hurt you, and they cripple you. You're down. And they don't understand what they've done. They've just done the same thing, but it brought you down. Okay? And then they explain the other things that I do really super great. But the pain, the awareness of pain, and it wasn't like, I had a great night. I've never had that kind of experience before. It felt like a bee bite. So for me, it was them telling me, you perceive differently, and you got to give yourself a break. If you're having pain, you're having pain, and it's fine. And other people can have their issues with you having your pain, but it's okay. It's okay. That's how you're built, and it's a response to stimulus. All right, because you were fine. It doesn't mean that the stimulus is bad. It means that you reacted to the stimulus in a surprising way that shocked you and brought you to your knees. And to not acknowledge that that is something that can happen, then that's not being very nice. Because then you have to just dust off and start walking again. And that's what I had to do this lifetime. That was the hardest thing for me. I didn't understand how it was possible that this horrible thing could happen, and then I was expected to pretend nothing happened. That's like dying to me. That's like a death. It's like walking with death. To have something like that to have a secret of any kind. It steals life, and I don't like it. And it warped me a little bit. So you have to do that. Maybe even the things that I experienced, they weren't so bad, you think? Maybe it wasn't the end of the world. Maybe it was just something that happened and I took it bad. Haven't I said that before? So it doesn't mean that anyone's done anything particularly wrong. They've been running their lines. But I honor how I react to it sometimes. Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's me again. But today in the office, when I was having fun, I was very productive. I was so artistic. I got to do so much art, and it was so funny and easy, just easy breezy. And I made everybody happy. I did, even the one I didn't like. I did. I went out of my way to say thank you, and I was very nice. But there's always one or two people I don't like. I mean, straight up don't like. And it's not like I need to hide from them. I want to goad them. It's really bad. It's really bad. I have to stay away from that. It's not very nice. And I'm reporting not something that I just did today. That is my personality. And so part of this stuff is I've suppressed, because if you have no self-esteem and you think you're a piece of shit, you're really not going to walk around saying, yeah, I'm holy. So you're not going to give yourself what, gang? What would that word be? Would it be permission? All right. So, I mean, here are some of the other experiences. It was crazy. It was really cool. Wow. I'm not going to, you know what? I'm not. I'm just going to do mine, because that's not nice. I'm not doing that. So if you were to come to me and ask me, hey, will you read my Akash and give me some advice? Well, this is what would have to happen. I'd have to feel into you right away. And I would know. And then it doesn't mean that I say then, oh, so your word is, and this is what you need to do. No. That's not how it works. No. When you're working with someone, especially working with them week to week or one-on-one, or whatever, you're married to them or whatever, you gotta make the peace. Then it can kind of crack your heart open, when you realize that this thing that you feel around this person, every person has their own. I have a relationship with every single person, and it's completely different than the next relationship. Yeah, that's right. And for me, yeah, I get healed too. Believe me, I get loved on. I get many things. But when someone presents, they've got something they want to work on. Or they don't, I'm not interested in them energetically. They've got something they're banging away at. And I like that. And so when I feel it, I used to just react and just like, that's something that's wrong with me, and oh my God, I just don't understand it all. But when you can cull it down to one or two words, can you see how permission permeated my life and my personality structure? Flavored paranoia into it, and deviousness and all kinds of stuff. So when I hear one or two words, it's not appropriate to say those words even. I mean, I could. And I may, if I move to. But when I, myself, am going to knowingly interact with someone who feels they need to seek permission to be okay, I know that's someone who is going to be finding permission within themselves. That's why they're singing the song. It's their song. Get it? So, it's my responsibility, if I can feel it, to, when interacting with that person, mirror to them how much they embody that now. I think it's good to know your words. I think it helped me a lot. And it has really, 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 really helped me with others. Because a guy I didn't like, poor thing. Poor thing. And I wasn't really able to help him too much, just to demonstrate behavior that he'd been thirsty to see and had grown unhappy not having seen. I like living this way. And, you know, it's not possible to live this way if the thoughts are not pure. When I saw that Ganesha start talking, and it was saying to me that people petition him because they recognize the purity of his beingness, his purity. And Ganesha said, you know, would you be okay if you understood that people seek you out and like being around you because of the purity? And at the time, even, and it was not that long ago, I found that fantastical and a little grotesque. But today, there's something about that ride. And I realize it's this Holy One who has kept everything together, always. It's the Holy One I've always deferred to. And no one was there, so there were certain things I wasn't ever going to do. And certain things I could do only for a short time. And I was told, you know, there's certain things you do, and there's an energetic thing, but it's all, you know, benefit and burden and stuff. And there's a Holy One. And when the Holy One moves, I move. When the Holy One knows, I know. And I'm really happy to know this. And I feel it's really a profound gift to you and to the people you know. Or maybe you don't know anybody who'd want to watch this. But then I go to WordPress and I look at the stats, and I realize, oh, we're all over the place. Oh, China and Sweden and Belize and all over the place. I'm not looking at my popularity. I could give a crap about that. I'm looking at you guys. I know what I'm running. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I want to do. And it may be in August, and it may be later. And I'm not going to be alone when I do it. I'll stand with my friends. And as one. We'll give ourselves permission to finally just walk as holy ones. And I'm looking forward to it because it feels really good. And it's not lonely at all. What's lonely are the people around me. But maybe not even as much as me. I don't feel a lot of that separation anymore. I don't feel it as that sadness that used to carry me along. It was sort of like something that I didn't feel I could do without. And it visits me and stuff, but I wondered to myself, how is it that I know this? How is it that I'm here? It's just the 9th of August. It's not any special day, and the eclipse is coming up, and they say, no, you don't understand. No. There was the day out of time, and then it began. And it will continue every single day. It's going to be more and more and more and more. And you are perfectly, divinely placed and open. So let it be. Let it be. Let it be. So these eclipses in February, they were pretty astoundingly important. And then I started getting more interested in astrology, and I took a look again at my natal chart. I thought, I better look at my natal chart again, because I hear the North Node is going to be doing wild things, and it should really be interesting. Leo shows up only once in my chart. Just once. Not entirely fond of that energy. Just once. In Uranus. Uranus in Leo. Uranus is retrograde, as is Pluto, as is Mercury, as is Pluto, Mercury, Jupiter. All of the weird ones. Does that give you a clue? And so now I look at what's going on right now with the North Node. In this solar eclipse, and I'm aware that and I said throughout these tapes, I'm waiting for Enrique to take a look at what I got. It's gonna satisfy me. So to close, and I know this is a very long tape, but it's important, and if you need to read it or hear it in segments, okay, not necessary to complain, just necessary to break it up. Okay. But people do complain about that, and I totally get it. I would not donate this amount of time unless it was really important. So if you're watching up to this point, I want to say you're a rock star, because these transmissions are very important, and this is like school. So I appreciate your time and what this might be doing to you. So to conclude, I took a look and I saw that Leo is kind of a tricky thing for me. Interesting. But really what came through with this Stargate, this last Lionsgate, it wasn't serious. It was the formal hut and Regulus, and it was ancient. It was the architects. And so that's nice to have Sirius, adding a high note. But this rung out over the universe. And it's complete. So we are in the middle of gifts that are beyond understanding. And so we don't know that we're tripping over them as we go about our daily life right now. I'm getting so much information about the eclipse, and I'll continue to give what I can. But the only thing that can disconnect it is minimizing it. Not arguing with it, but when you minimize it, you begin to feel sort of a twisting, and it's just not a good feeling. And then when you realize the feeling is from the minimizing, then you can stop doing that. So I have a lot more to say about the eclipse, and I'll say it later. But as I will repeat what they said, this is no ordinary reset. To learn that there's a second one coming 7 years later, and that they cross. So you think it's going to go on and on and on? Yeah, it's going to. Haven't I said that? It didn't stop at 12, 21, 12. Yeah, no, we are we love ritual, and we love numbers, and we love stargates, and we love this stuff. And it's like we never stop partying because there's always more. There's always more. There's always more. Which is true about God. So it really was this thing that I devalued in me and tried to extinguish and understand and explain this God thing, the thing that we're not supposed to talk about around here. And it turns out I've got it in spades. I'm lousy with it. Well, good. It's about time I figured it out, for goodness sake. So I just started relaxed into it today. It's a very, very, very long report to say, yeah, I just finally relaxed today. But I want you to know the mechanics, and I want you to know about that Akash thing. Ooh, isn't that yummy? I'm so excited about it because I can help so much. And then when I'm with the person who I've gotten information on, the word will come back. Say, oh, I need to soften up that way. Ooh, I need to get, and everything flows. It's so nice. So exciting. So why not pass that kind of stuff on, huh? That's why I'm here, among other things. All right, so I gotta go and break up this tape. I'm really sorry it's long, but I'm super, super grateful that you watched because you got some good stuff. I think I might watch Rachel Maddow and watch the world explode some more. Not sure. But am I worried any longer about the new earth and which way will I be? Yeah, no. I'm a holy one. And this is a divine time. And so I may watch the news. And I will, I think, stop when I begin to feel contemptuous enough that I want to act out by educating. How about that? That's how I act out. Oh, everybody must know the truth. They gotta wake up around here. Boop. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. If you're gonna have a habit, not a bad one. But I think it's like sooner or later, hey, that cross, it's not working anymore. You can just get off. Just don't even get on. Just don't even go there. You don't really have to. You don't have to have wild hair and cry out from the wilderness that the end is nigh. You don't. Okay? It's not those times. I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm not his yoo-hoo. Everybody, get ready. I'm not going there. I'm going to do this life. And I may be surrounded by my peers, but that's why I'm excited about the eclipse. I'm dropping it all. I'm dropping the whole story. And I'm just going to be a holy one. See? I'm so excited. All right. Bye.